Today's lesson is on the properties of parallelograms. And we'll start with the definition. A parallelogram is an enclosed, convex, four-sided figure whose opposite sides are parallel to each other. So, first of all, it has to be four sides. Convex means there's no indentations. And opposite sides are parallel, which means they never touch. So AB would be parallel to CD, and BD would be parallel to AC. All right, which figure is not a parallelogram? Which figure is not a parallelogram? If you pick D, you're correct, because this is not a four-sided figure. It has five sides. All right, which figure is not a parallelogram in this situation? If you pick A, you're correct. Now all these are four-sided figures, but the opposite sides on these are not parallel. This will eventually meet up with this side. All right, in a parallelogram, opposite sides have the same length and opposite angles have the same measure. So that means the length of AB is the same length as CD. And the length of AC is the same length as BD. And the opposite angles, angle C has to be equal to angle B. And angle A is congruent to angle D. In a parallelogram, angles that share the same side have a sum of 180 degrees. Well, the angles that share the same side in this parallelogram would be angles A and angle C. So if you add those together, they have to be 180 degrees because they share the same side. And likewise, angle B plus angle D must also equal 180 degrees because they share the same side in the parallelogram. All right, in the parallelogram, the diagonals bisect each other and split the parallelogram into two congruent triangles. So that means that these two segments have to be equal to each other. And that means that these two segments must have the same length. The triangles, opposite triangles are the same triangle. And we'll get into that in another lesson. All right, solve for the value of x and the length of the sides. All right, here we have a parallelogram. We know that opposite sides are congruent. So it allows us to set 4x equal to 14x minus 3. These two expressions are equal to each other. All right, so solving that, I would add 3x to both sides. So I get 7x equals 14. And dividing both sides by 7, I get x is 2. So the value of x is 2, but the length of the side is 4 times that number. So the length of that side is 8. If you were to check with this expression, you should get 8 also. All right, solve for the value of x and the length of the sides. Again, we have a parallelogram. I can set these two expressions equal to each other. So I get 4x minus 15 equals 17 minus 4x. All right, in solving this, you can add 4x to both sides. So we're left with 8x minus 15 equals 17. And I can add 15 to both sides. Which leaves us with 8x equals 32. And if I divide 8 to both sides, x would be 4. So the value of x is 4, and if you want to know the length of the side, you would evaluate 4 into one of the two expressions to get that. So let's take the top one. So I have 4 times 4 minus 15, which is just 16 minus 15, which is the length of 1. Okay, solve for the value of x and the length of the sides. Well, if this is 16, the opposite side must be 16 because it's a parallelogram. And these two expressions must be equal to each other. So I can say x plus 24 equals 4x. And I can subtract x to both sides. So I'm left with 24 equals 3x. And if I divide 3 to both sides, x will give me the value of 8. And if I wanted the length of the side, it would be 4 times that number. So 4 times 8 gives me a length of 32. All right, this completes the lesson for parallelograms.